Senator Kabaka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving this opportunity to issue request for statement pursuant to Standing Order 48-1 regarding land grabbing cases in Nairobi City County. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Orders 48, subsection 1, I raise a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the alleged land grabbing of an ECD center and playground for children in Mogoya Estate, Nairobi City County, known as LR number Nairobi Block 103/793. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the statement, the committee should address the following issues. Number 1, provide a report to why the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Eacc, delayed in investigating a complaint and made on 27th May 2014 on the alleged land grabbing thereof. The Speaker, sir, number 2, the said committee to provide a report indicating the ownership history of the said parcel of land since January 2013. Number 3, the said committee to explain the circumstances under which the said parcel of land was sold to one Mr. Eacc Abdullahi Ibrahim on 15 September 2014, while the investigation was still pending at the Eacc. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, the said committee also to explain why the Eacc has entered 2 consent agreement in court, that is ELC court number 1, case number 159 of 2019 with Mr. Eacc Abdullahi Ibrahim, one dated on 27th May 2019, and another consent dated 30th July 2019, allowing him to continue construction in the grabbed public land. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, number 5, explain the measures that have been put in place to ensure that the Eacc and DCI officers involved in the investigation on this matter do not use their their official positions for personal benefits, and or to settle personal scores with whistleblowers, including the governor of Nairobi, Mike Sonko, and other members of public affected by the said land grabbing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chila yako.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this matter has been lately hitting headlines in news. The governor of Nairobi is being quoted as complaining that Eacc is pursuing him. Now, the committee to which this matter is being referred to, I want to request them to tell us what measures have been put in place to ensure that there is no abuse or prosecutorial powers by any institution to the detriment of the general public. I think this is the one that is at the heart of the complaint. And secondly, the committee should also tell us why quick and decisive action is not being taken against whoever is on the wrong, whether that person is the governor or some other person, because as members of the public, we want the people responsible for this to be dealt with, whether they are small or big, fat or thin. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Senator for Machakos, Senator Kabaka, for bringing this statement on Nairobi. It is interesting that it is similar issues raised by my governor, but I think they're all at liberty to consult either their city senator or their rural senator, because he comes from Machakos as well. Mr. Speaker, on to the content, to the content of this statement. No, he's a resident of both Nairobi and Machakos, so it is acceptable. Mr. Speaker, this matter has, as Senator Uchilo Yako has said, has been in the newspapers. We've seen it online. And it's a matter that looks like it's getting out of hand. Mr. Speaker, for me, what is sacrosanct? Because there are many issues of land grabbing that we're trying to grapple with in the county of Nairobi. And this is not necessarily a special one. What makes this case really special to come to this House at this point, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that any allegation by a Kenyan under investigation that there is bias within the institutions of the Eacc, of the DCI, of the DPP must be taken seriously. Mr. Speaker, as a country that has decided to take head-on the fight against corruption, Mr. Speaker, I think such things or innuendo should not be left to chance. Every Kenyan must know that the fight against corruption is a fight that must be fought fairly, that there is no victimization, that there is no politics being played. So, Mr. Speaker, I have heard many other insinuations from different quarters that either there has been a political witch hunt on this case or other cases, that, oh, it is a personal problem between officers in the Eacc. I'm made to understand that the governor has also gone to court on a similar matter on one of the officers mentioned here. I would urge the committee, and not just committee on land, because the committee on land will address the specific issue on the land grabbing, which is important, it must be addressed. But bigger than that issue, Mr. Speaker, is the feeling of bias, is the feeling of politicization of these offices that are very important in our criminal justice system. And so, Mr. Speaker, I would urge you that not just the Committee of Lands, but the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. We have had many even colleagues saying, for instance, at some point I had Senator of Nakuru having officers withdrawn, or other officers, other senators feeling that they're being victimized because of political stand. I do not think that is the country we want to have. That is not the country we need to have in the 21st century, Mr. Speaker. So I'd ask the very able senator from Nandi to also suo moto, I think that is what Mutula says, suo moto, on his own motion, to look at the issues within the institutions that are charged with making sure that we have a country where justice and a fair shot is a prerogative of all of us. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.